Alrighty, we're going to visit a very historical house with lots of very interesting history, and they have a lot of very nice antiques. And I invite you to join me, shall we? Let's take a look and see what they have, and here's some history of Oneida. Alrighty, so can you tell me some of the history of the house and the hours you're open?
Okay, well, the house was built in 1861 by the Stephen Farnham family, and the second owner of the house was Mary Dyer Jackson. She was a suffragette. She was one of the first women in central New York to circulate a petition for women's right to vote. We've had several doctors live in the house. Now it's an antique shop. It's Victorian Lady Antiques. We are open Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays from noon until 5.
Okay, and can you tell me the history of this gas chandelier here? Okay.
That is the original gasolier that was put in the house in the 1800s.
So let's continue about the chandelier here.
Yes, that is the original gas chandelier, or a gasolier as they were called. It was put in the house in the 1800s. The original owner of the house, Stephen Farnham, was the president of the Oneida Gaslight Company. So this was one of the first houses in Oneida to have gas lighting.
And what year would have that been?
That would have probably have been in the 1870s.
All righty.
And it was never electrified, but the gas was shut off to it a long time ago. So it's just there as kind of an historic monument to the past.
Okay. Go.
Okay. This is this year's Oneida Thrift Days passport, and we are participating in the Oneida Thrift Days scavenger hunt. So this is our first year as a participating business, and hopefully we'll be participating next year.
All righty. All righty. Looks like we have a real neat antique organ here, and this is from what year?
1870 is the patent date on it, and it's made by the Mason and Hamlin Company.
And it's a pump organ, I guess?
Yes, it is.
Does it still work by any chance?
It needs some TLC.
Yeah. But it is a very nice looking organ. Okay. All right. This is a neat old mantle clock. Okay, this Victrola does work, right?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I could even play a record on for you if you want.
Yes, let's listen to a record.
Oh.
And it's an RCA Victrola. I see the RCA logo on it, the Victor dog. What is the name of the song? You don't stop it yet. Let's listen to it a little bit.
I'm not sure.
And there's the record we sampled. They have lots of antique books. And there's some vintage oil lamps. There's a neat old picture. Player piano rolls. Some of those are before the turn of the century, aren't they? Some vintage cameras. Here's a newspaper from 1898. Some vintage glass with a classic typewriter. A spinning wheel. What goes up must come down. Some old gas heaters. Some vintage women's clothing and pocketbooks. More pocketbooks and shoes. I don't know what this would be here, but it looks interesting. A vintage toy baby crib with metal wheels. A vintage croquet set. A grinder, probably from the 20s, and some vintage irons. There's a light fixture, probably from the turn of the century, if not a little bit before. The inside of the sockets are porcelain. A neat old steam trunk, a vintage chair, and a vintage toy baby stroller with metal wheels. There's a vintage mixer. You turn it by hand and mix up in the bowl. There's an array of some vintage pictures. There's a classic mixer. There's a sunbeam mixer, or an older white mixer, and a folding toaster. So can you tell me about this picture?
This picture is of the Farnham Mansion. It was taken sometime in the 1870s and was sent to us by one of Stephen Farnham's descendants.
Go. So what's this here?
In the picture, you could see Mr. and Mrs. Farnham standing on their front porch and their horse-drawn carriage waiting for them out in the street.
All righty. And that's before the turn of the century.
Yes.
What time? 1870?
Around 1870, yes.
All righty. And I'm getting this very old vintage electrical socket here. Alrighty, so thanks for watching. So can you tell folks the hours here?
We're open every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from noon until 5, and we'd love for you to come visit.
Alrighty. Peace. Thanks for watching.